Do you believe in monsters? Mysterious creatures existing amongst us? Travelers from space and other cosmic dimensions? If so, then I ask you to join me in discovering the myths and legends as I dive into the stories of these cryptic legends in Counting Creatures. Welcome to Counting Creatures. I'm your host, Shane Mess, and on this episode we'll be talking about the Loveland Frog Man. Now, I wanted to start with this creature, mostly because I'm from Ohio, so it just felt like something that was like right down the road, and I don't know, it just excited me. And you know what, the evidence is actually pretty decent for this one. Even though there's not much of it, I do like what there is. So with that being said, let's get into the first sighting of the Loveland Frog Man, which happens to take place in 1955. A businessman on his way home from work, it was 3 a.m. in the morning, when he came across three frog-like creatures standing on the side of the road. I believe it was raining. Can't really remember the facts on that. But either way, he stopped and to get a better look at these creatures. And the most interesting thing is, before he can get too close to them, one of them held out a wand of some sort. And from this wand, the man claimed that it shined a light, or I think he described it more as sparks. Sparks were kind of like a sparkler effect was coming out of the top of the wand, and that was enough to make the man like, you know what, this isn't worth it. I don't want to be turned into a pile of ash or whatever was going to happen. Got back in his car, took off. Now, I don't think there was any further investigation of that case, and like I say, the man's anonymous, so we're not even able to get more information from him or his family. That's about all we have. But what I do like about that case was the wand. Now, this was the 50s, so coming across something like that was already terrifying enough. And a Gandalf kind of wizardy 4-foot frog. But I kind of wonder, if our generation or I should say younger generations came across something like that, how we would process this situation. I wonder if there's anything more technical about this device. I kind of think it either, I don't want to see it much as a wand. It could have been something like a teleportation device. I like to think that maybe these frog-like creatures were, in the middle of sort of meeting or waiting, maybe even for a interdimensional passageway or something, to open up with their device. So I'm wondering if it was more like a Doctor Who kind of effect. Maybe it wasn't like a magic wand as much as a technical device that we just didn't understand or could comprehend, especially in the 50s. But with today's technology, maybe if somebody else would see that, we would interpret it something different or pay attention to more of the detail of, the description of it. Like maybe wouldn't have said a wand as much as oh, this thing had a some type of weapon. But I don't know. I mean, I wasn't there, so who knows? With that being said, there wasn't really much other than that in that case, other than that, and we get about a 17-year gap between the next sighting, which happens in 1972, when a cop nearly ran his cruiser into a frogman. He had to stop his vehicle, and apparently this frog-like man decided to just scurry off into the brush, I believe. I don't think it was the guardrail. But yeah, the first policeman had a little one-on-one action or one-on-one incident. Not much there. But I do find it interesting that a policeman, filed the report that, hey, I came across this frog-like creature in the middle of the road, which would lead us to our third case. Another police officer by the name of Mark Matthews also had kind of the same incident where he was in his cruiser on patrol, and he came across what he thought was an injured dog on the side of the road and stopped to investigate, and the creature gets up, not a dog, but a frogman. The officer kind of has a moment of panic, pulls out his gun, takes several shots at the creature, and then the creature didn't have anything to do with it, takes off, leaps over the guardrail, and that was the end of that. Now this was also in winter. I think it was what did he say? It was in March. I don't know. I know he described it was cold, and icy. It was cold and icy. But the thing with Mark's tale is he does eventually later on in life take back his story as not being a frogman, but nothing more than somebody's loose pet iguana or some other type of reptile that had lost its tail, uh, identified as a frogman. But I don't know. It's kind of one of those which story do you believe out of him, because it's kind of weird that an officer would make this report and then decide, you know what, I better take this back. It was just a giant house lizard. I feel like maybe he was under the pressure of, probably just being interrogated a lot by, media, trying to gain traction on the story, or throughout the years, just people, hounding about it. Maybe even being made fun of. Who knows? Maybe he decided, enough's enough. Yeah, I made it up. But that could just, like I say, maybe that was just a cover up. He just wanted nobody else to bother him, so he just said, yeah, it was a lizard. He does have the theory. I think he said something about it was attracted to. I think it was found close to like a pipe or something, where like it can stay warm, which a large lizard would do since their bodies can't produce heat. They have to find a heat source. That was a theory. Either way, I don't know. I guess you have to take that evidence how you would, but I do find it very interesting that we had two cops eyewitness this frogman. Almost the same kind of like scenario. All three of them really on like the side of the road kind of thing. Like it's not like a Sasquatch encounter where like people just walk through the woods and they see a glimpse of a Sasquatch or whatever. It's weird that the frogman has never been really spotted around like ponds or lakes. Actually, I take that back, 'cause we do have a native story that I'll get to here in a minute. But before we do, there was the last incident was like in 2016. Now this one's very up in the air, but there were some kids playing Pokemon Go. There was a kid named James Jacob in 2016 playing Pokemon Go with his girlfriend, who happened to come across what he thought was the Loveland Frog Man. Now I don't know much about that story. I don't think there was really much to it other than I think they saw it. I think he described it like walking through the water. So there is a little bit of a different story, I guess there. But that one was under a lot of scrutiny. A lot of people trying to claim it not to be. But as far as I know, Sam Jacobs, sorry, I think I messed up the name, but Sam Jacobs claims that his story is legit, that he actually did see the Loveland Frogman. But I say there wasn't much to that one either. I don't know, I just find it weird, like in today's generation. Like I think if we come across something like that, especially with a phone, we would get some like pretty significant evidence if we didn't run from it. Because I don't know, I mean we would if we felt endangered, but we see enough of these videos online where like people will come face to face with like jaguars or bears, and like they just pull out their phones and like they start recording. Even if they're backing away from it. I mean, things can be like literally walking towards them and they're still like recording. So I think when somebody says they come across a Loveland Frogman and they have a cell phone or something and they don't really have good evidence, it's just kind of, I don't know. The guy wants to stick with the story, so it's a story. Who am I to say it's a fraud? I can only say that maybe I don't particularly believe in his story. But hey, who knows? It's up to you to decide what you think of Sam Jacobs' story. So yeah, that's the about the gist of the evidence we have on the Loveland Frogman. But there is one other case that I think is worth bringing up. That's not really brought into the. I guess if you really dig into the Loveland Frogman, you do come across this, and it is taken back before 1955. We have the Shawnee Indians, who were living, around the Little Miami River, and a tribe of them actually witnessed a frog-like man that dived into the water. They called it I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it, Shanahook, and the meaning is the river demon. And this scared them pretty bad to where they actually went and got warriors to come and find this frogman and try to defeat the river demon. But that was the only case they ever saw. They never did actually run into him again. And I guess that legend just stuck around. It could be just a native legend to scare kids, maybe from from getting too close to the water. But I do enjoy the fact that we have something that dates back in the pioneer days. So that's pretty fun. But yeah, that is the evidence on the Loveland Frogman. So it's one of those. I guess we don't have a lot of sightings like most cryptic creatures. And like I said, I think the thing that really stands out with this one is I love the fact that one of the frogmen had a device, even if it was a magical wand or a interdimensional portal device or whatever it could have been. You don't really get that much with the cryptics. It's always just, I saw a shadow of a Bigfoot, or here's a Bigfoot print. I don't know. I really like the fact that we actually had this one holding something, a device that we didn't understand, and could possibly be something very, very important evidence. If these things actually have the intelligence to have devices like this to teleport between dimensions or worlds. But I mean, I know that's all speculation, but it's fun. Gotta admit, it's fun. It's fun to speculate. That's why we're so interested in this stuff, right? I mean, aliens, Bigfoots, and all that. That's why we tune into it. So I guess the question is, on this Counting Creatures episode, I guess the question would be, do we believe in the Loveland Frogman? Is there enough evidence here to say that I would say that this creature has substantial evidence to exist? And the answer is not really. In most cases, we get footprints, or sometimes people claim like they have hair, follicles of like animals, but they always end up being like from baboons or something. But there's always evidence that we can put under a microscope. And with the Loveland Frogman, we only have eyewitnesses. We have nothing else to go by. But I do tell you this: if I'm in the Loveland, Ohio area, and I'm in the woods, I will be carrying a gig. Is it a gig stick? I will be carrying a gig. I think that's what it's called. The stick that you stick frogs with in the ponds to catch them to eat their legs. I think I'd put my money on at least having one in my backpack, just in case I come across any 4-foot frogmen waving magical wands at me, or weapons that could turn me into, I don't know, dust. Yeah, there's not much more we can discuss on the Loveland Frogman. So yeah, I guess it's up to you to decide what you think. Is there enough evidence here for you to believe in the Loveland Frogman? Or just feel like, that eerie feeling if you're in the Loveland, Ohio area? How would you think? Would you wander around in the woods knowing that there could be 4-foot frogmen ready to attack you with their magical wands? Anyways, that has been this episode of Counting Creatures, and I hope to see you on the next episode.